They stole everything, my room, my car, and my name, and handed it all to my sister's boyfriend like I never existed. I was working out of state, trusting my family to protect what was mine, only to come back to locked doors, erased bank accounts, and a stranger sleeping in my bed. They called it temporary. They said I was too busy to need any of it. But the truth? They never planned to give it back. Not the house. Not the inheritance. Not even the dignity they stripped from me behind my back. They underestimated me. They thought I'd walk away quietly like I always had. But this time, I brought lawyers, receipts, and a vengeance backed by court orders and cold, hard facts. And when the judge slammed that gavel, it wasn't just justice. It was the sound of everything I'd lost snapping back into place. The house? Mine. The car? Reclaimed. The lies? Shattered. They once evicted me from my own life. But I made sure they left my front door with nothing but their regrets and an official eviction notice signed by the son they betrayed. This is the story of how I was erased, and how I came back to write every word of their downfall. I'm Marcus Avery, 26 years old. I left home at 19 for med school, fueled by scholarships, side jobs, and the belief that my parents were proud of me. They said they were. Every call ended with a "we're so proud, son." Every holiday visit was filled with bragging rights stories to friends and neighbors about Dr. Marcus in the making. But after my third year, things fell apart. My mental health tanked. I started failing exams. I got burned out, isolated, and I cracked under the pressure. I took a leave of absence. I didn't tell them right away. I was ashamed. Instead, I packed up my small apartment and went back to what I thought was still home. That word lost all meaning the second I pulled into the driveway. It was around 6 p.m., golden hour. My car, a 2015 silver Civic that I paid for, was already parked there. But someone else was behind the wheel. Not my dad. Not my mom. A guy I'd never seen before, maybe mid-20s, cocky as hell, sunglasses on at sunset. Shirtless. He got out, barely glanced at me, and walked inside my house like he owned it. I followed. "Can I help you?" I asked, more confused than angry at that point. He smirked. "You must be Marcus." My stomach dropped. How did he know my name? Before I could speak again, my mom stepped out of the kitchen. Not surprised. Not excited. Just awkward. "Honey, you're back early. We weren't expecting you." Early? I had texted them 2 days ago. "Coming home Friday." "This is Tyler," she said quickly, gesturing to the guy. "He's your sister's boyfriend. He's staying with us now." I looked around. The living room was rearranged. New pillows. New rugs. Different TV. Photos of me were gone. Replaced by photos of my sister and Tyler, at my graduation, in my old car, even one of them holding a dog I'd never seen before. In my childhood backyard. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Where's my room?" She hesitated. Then came the blow. "Well, Tyler needed a space to stay, and your sister's room wasn't big enough. So we let them take yours." "Let them?" "Where's my stuff?" "Some of it's in the garage. The rest we had to donate." "It's been 2 years, Marcus." 2 years. I'd been gone for school, not the moon. I went to the garage. My mattress was against a wall. My books? Moldy. My clothes? Gone. Even my childhood journals, my old laptop, missing. Tyler came out 10 minutes later, yawning, holding my Xbox controller. "Yo, bro. If you want your desk chair back or whatever, it's in the shed." He called me bro. That's when the nausea kicked in. I didn't fight. Not then, I slept in my car that night, in the driveway, like a stray animal. The Civic I bought with my own money. That they gave to him. I stared at the ceiling until the sun came up. And that's when it hit me. They didn't just forget me. They replaced me. The next morning, I knocked on my bedroom door, even though it felt ridiculous to do so. Tyler opened it half asleep, wearing a robe that used to be mine. Behind him, I could see my bed frame, spray-painted black. The posters I left behind were torn down. The bookshelf I built with my dad now held Tyler's random sneakers and a stack of gym supplements. The worst part? My sister was lying in bed, pretending to be asleep, in my bed, with her boyfriend, in the room where I learned to walk, where I stayed up studying anatomy, where I cried when I got my first rejection letter from a residency. I need to grab a few things, I said. Tyler didn't move. He leaned over the doorframe. You can come back later, bro. We're still sleeping. The bro again. I gritted my teeth. My fists were tight at my sides. I didn't trust myself to speak. So I walked back into the garage and started looking through the boxes. But what I found? It wasn't just stuff they packed away. They'd thrown away my framed degree, the one I had signed and delivered after passing my boards the first time. There was mold on my textbooks, mouse droppings on my old med school coat, and a thick layer of dust on a shoebox that once held photos of me and my grandparents. Photos. Gone. Instead, the box was filled with Tyler's junk, cheap protein bars and receipts from restaurants I'd never been to, some of which were charged to my old credit card. Yeah. Turns out they never closed the account I left with them just in case of emergency. And this walking Red Bull ad had been using it. I walked into the kitchen with the stack of receipts. You gave my credit card to your daughter's boyfriend? My dad barely looked up from his phone. He's family now, Marcus. He needed help getting on his feet. You weren't using it. I wasn't using it? It was in my name. Did you plan to pay it off? Your sister's covering some of it. We figured since you were taking time off from school, you wouldn't need that credit score for a while. I couldn't breathe. They hadn't just replaced me. They'd financially exploited me, rewritten the family dynamic around this stranger, and expected me to play along like a grateful son who still had a seat at the table. But the table was set for 3 now. And I wasn't invited. That afternoon, I got a message from a high school friend I hadn't spoken to in years. Hey man, sorry to hear about what happened. Can't believe you dropped out. I never dropped out. My parents had told everyone I couldn't handle the pressure, that I wasn't stable, and that Tyler, the guy who now had my room, my car, and my life, was like the son they never had. That night, I sat in my car again. This time, I didn't cry. I opened my laptop. Pulled out my student loan info. My saved emails. My legal paperwork. And a folder of every account and document they thought I'd forgotten about. They took my room. They took my car. They took my name. But they forgot I spent 3 years learning how to fight battles in courtrooms. And they had no idea what was coming. The Civic was gone. That's how the morning started, not even coffee, just cold air and an empty driveway where my car had been. I knocked on the front door, already bracing for a lie. My mom opened it with a casual smile, like I wasn't practically vibrating with rage. Tyler took it. He had an early shift, she said like it was no big deal. My name is on the registration, I said through clenched teeth. He has no right to drive it. We thought you wouldn't mind. You're not really using it right now. The same words. Over and over. We thought. We assumed. We figured. What they meant was. We didn't care. I called the insurance company. They confirmed what I feared. 3 months ago, my dad had transferred the policy under his name and added Tyler as a secondary driver, claiming the car was a gift to the family. I asked them how he even had the authority. The rep paused. It says here your father submitted a signed transfer form from you. I never signed any transfer. They forged my signature. I confronted my dad, paperwork in hand. He didn't even deny it. Marcus, don't make a scene. The car still belongs to the family. You were gone. We handled things. Handled things? They stole my vehicle, lied about it, and let a stranger take over my life like it was a hand-me-down. And I was supposed to thank them? But it didn't end there. Later that day, I checked the glove compartment of an old storage box where I kept car service records, and found a toll violation dated 2 weeks ago. Location, a beach resort. Passenger listed in the photo, my sister. While I was sleeping in my car in their driveway. They had taken weekend trips, in my car, with my gas, on my dime. I walked back inside. Tyler was on the couch, gaming on the TV I'd left behind years ago. Yo, Marcus. You know your AC's a little funky. Might want to get that looked at. He winked. Wait, you still think that Civic is yours? That was it. I didn't yell. I didn't throw punches. I just walked back to the garage, sat at the folding table, opened my laptop again, and typed. Pro bono family rights attorney near me. I wasn't just angry now. I was calculating. They thought they'd replaced me. I was going to replace their comfort with consequences. It was Sunday night. Family dinner night. Roast beef. Mashed potatoes. Candles. Like we were some wholesome suburban sitcom, not the twisted disaster of a household that had betrayed me 6 ways from Sunday. I sat at the table, invited only because Grandma was coming. The only person left in the family who hadn't sold me out. When she walked in, cane in hand and eyes sharp as ever, I hugged her tighter than I should have. She noticed. Of course she did. You okay, Marcus? She whispered. I just smiled and said, it's good to see you. Then the show began. My sister bragged about her new job, one Tyler helped her land. My mom beamed with pride. My dad passed me a bowl of potatoes like we were still father and son. Tyler? He sat at the head of the table. My grandfather's seat. Grandpa had left that seat empty for years after he died, out of respect. Now this clown sat there, chewing like a cow, laughing like he owned the place. And nobody said a word. I waited until everyone had finished eating. Waited until the fake laughs had faded, the wine had been poured, and dessert was being passed around. Then I stood up, reached into my jacket, and laid 3 sheets of paper on the table. What's this? My mom asked. A credit report, a vehicle ownership affidavit, and a copy of the forged insurance transfer form, I said, loud and clear. The room froze. And this, I pulled out one more sheet, is a sworn statement from the notary you faked. Turns out she still remembers signing my student loan docs and was more than happy to confirm this wasn't my signature. Tyler laughed, nervously. Dude. Chill. You're being dramatic. I turned to my grandmother. Did you know they told people I dropped out of school? That I lost it? She blinked. No. That's not what they told me. I slid one more thing across the table. A photo. From the toll road. Tyler and my sister, holding hands, driving my car to a weekend getaway. The timestamp? The same weekend I slept in that car outside their house. They stole from me, Grandma. Lied to you. Lied to everyone. My dad slammed his hand on the table. That's enough. No, I said. It's not. I turned to him. I'm filing for theft. Identity fraud. Forgery. And civil damages. You're going to take your family to court? You stopped being family the day you put someone else in my bed and called him son. My sister screamed that I was ruining everything. Tyler cursed under his breath. My mom started crying. But Grandma? She just nodded. Good. Burn it all down, sweetheart. The door slammed behind me that night. My suitcase? Still in the trunk. My room? Still occupied by a man who wore my shoes and stole my life. So I sat in the Civic, my Civic, parked at the edge of the driveway like a stranger outside his own home. It was cold. Not winter cold, but the kind that settles deep in your ribs when you realize nobody inside that house cares where you sleep. I tried to rest. The passenger seat reclined. Hoodie as a pillow. I stared up at the faint stars in the shadow of the house where my childhood had happened, where birthdays and scraped knees and bad report cards used to end with hugs and lectures. Now? It was a fortress protecting the thief. The next morning, I woke to the sound of a lawn mower. Tyler was out front. Shirtless. Grinning. He waved. I didn't wave back. Instead, I drove straight to my lawyer's office. I'd filed initial complaints already, but now it was war. We drafted an official cease and desist for Tyler, barring him from using the car, my old bank cards, yep, they had one of those too, and even the room pending the outcome of the civil suit. I also filed a petition to freeze the house title. It was still under both my parents' names, but Dad had been trying to sneak Tyler onto the deed through estate planning. I got wind of it from a friend at the county office. He's treating this like an empire, my lawyer said. He thinks you're bluffing. Good, I said. Let him. I moved into a cheap rental an hour away. Shared kitchen. Moldy walls. But I could breathe again. That night, my sister called. You're destroying everything. No, I replied. I'm just tearing down the lie you built. Tyler's good for us. He's good for himself. And you let him be. He loves me. Then let him build his own life. Not steal mine. She hung up. A week later, I got a call from Grandma. They asked me to talk to you. And? I told them the only thing I'd say was, good luck facing him in court. She was with me. That was enough to keep going. You know what people forget? Paper never lies. And I kept everything. Old emails. Bank statements. Car service records. Even text threads backed up to my cloud account. When you grow up in a house where love feels conditional, you learn to document everything, just in case. Turns out, just in case had arrived. My lawyer and I started building a timeline. Bank withdrawals from my closed account? Found. Insurance premium transfers I never approved? Found. Screenshots of my mom asking for my login to fix a mistake? Found. Digital timestamp location of me 400 miles away when they claimed I signed something in person? Found. Every file was a nail in their coffin. And then came the bombshell. An email chain between my father and a shady estate planner, talking about transferring car title and house equity to Tyler as early inheritance adjustments. Dated before they told me they were just holding things for now. They planned this. Not in a moment of confusion. Not as a misunderstanding. But as a calculated heist of everything with my name on it. And now? I had proof. I filed an amended complaint. Fraud. Identity theft. Intent to misappropriate assets. And a motion to invalidate any unofficial property changes made during my absence. The judge accepted it. Court date, set. Discovery, ordered. Tyler, served. And the best part? They still thought Grandma didn't know. So when my lawyer deposed her for her view of family property, she brought handwritten letters Grandpa had left behind, where he'd named me as the heir to certain parts of the estate, especially the car. He loved Marcus more than anyone, she told them. And he knew you'd all come circling like vultures the moment he was gone. They tried to paint me as ungrateful. As dramatic. As unstable. But the documents didn't cry. They didn't argue. They just told the truth. And the truth? Was loud. The courthouse smelled like old wood and cold coffee. I sat at the plaintiff's table in a pressed suit I bought secondhand. Across from me? My father, mother, sister. And Tyler, who looked like he thought this was a networking event. He had that smug, sales pitch smile, the kind that had once fooled my entire family. Not anymore. The judge was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who'd seen every lie the world could offer. I liked her already. "Mr. Hargrove," she said, "please explain the nature of your complaint." I stood, heart hammering, and spoke loud and clear. "Your Honor, my family and my sister's boyfriend orchestrated a scheme to remove me from my home, take possession of my vehicle, transfer funds from my accounts, and falsify legal documents, all while I was away at school recovering from surgery. This isn't a family dispute. This is theft." The defense tried to object. My father's lawyer called it a misunderstanding born from poor communication and assumptions of intent. But we had documents. We had dates. We had forged signatures and fake notarizations. We had Tyler using my car in states I wasn't even in. And Grandma? She sat behind me in the gallery, calm as a storm waiting to break. Cross-examination was brutal. When my father was called to the stand, my lawyer asked, "Did you ask Marcus for permission to transfer the car title?" "No, but I assumed." "Just yes or no, sir?" "No." "Did you inform him you were changing the insurance under Tyler's name?" "No." "Did you sign his name on any documents?" Silence. "Sir?" "Yes." My mother broke down crying on the second day. Said she just wanted to keep the peace. My sister said she didn't know what was happening. But the emails and text threads proved otherwise. She had laughed about me being too slow to claim what's his in a message to Tyler. And Tyler? He lied. Under oath. And we caught him. With GPS records. With bank transactions. With Grandma's notarized statement. The judge leaned back in her seat on the fourth day. "I don't see miscommunication here. I see coordination. And a clear effort to erase Mr. Hargrove from his legal rights." Boom. Tyler's lawyer begged for a settlement. I refused. I wanted a ruling. Not a check. Not a whisper. I wanted the world to know. When the judge finally delivered the verdict, her words hit harder than I ever imagined. This was an orchestrated betrayal disguised as family concern. Marcus Hargrove is entitled to full restitution, legal damages, and immediate return of all misappropriated property. Additionally, the court will refer this case to the district attorney for further investigation into fraud and perjury. My dad put his face in his hands. My sister screamed that I had ruined the family. My mom didn't say a word. And Tyler? He was escorted out in cuffs for contempt after shouting, "This is bull, I built that life." "No, Tyler. You stole it." They called it People versus Tyler Jenkins. Not my sister's boyfriend. Not houseguest. Not future family. Defendant. His name was finally printed where it belonged, on a court docket next to criminal charges. Fraud, identity theft, unauthorized use of property, and perjury. This wasn't civil court anymore. This was criminal court. And Tyler had run out of charisma. The arrest had been just the beginning. What followed was a series of subpoenas that unearthed more dirt than I thought possible. Fake rental agreements to claim residency. A credit card application using my SSN. A half-finished deed transfer my dad had helped draft before backing out at the last second, probably realizing how illegal it really was. Grandma's testimony hit like a hammer. That boy walked into our house like he owned it. Not once did he work for anything he took. And I warned them all, but they chose him anyway. The prosecution built the case like a tower made of receipts and contradictions. The defense tried to pivot. They said Tyler was misled by the family, that he believed he was being gifted these things. But screenshots said otherwise. So did voicemails. So did the night I caught him bragging on Instagram Live from my room, the one he now said he assumed was abandoned. My sister showed up every day. Sat behind the defense bench. Arms crossed. Face stiff. She wouldn't look at me. Not once. Even when the DA played a clip of her texting Tyler. "He's too soft to fight this. We've got it." The courtroom murmured. The judge banged her gavel. But I heard Grandma whisper, "Not too soft anymore." Tyler took the stand against his lawyer's advice. He thought he could talk his way out like always. Marcus wasn't around. They didn't want him anymore. I filled the gap. By taking his car? It wasn't even being used. By forging insurance documents? It was just easier that way. By impersonating him on bank paperwork? It was a mistake. The prosecutor interrupted. "How many mistakes does it take before we call it what it is, theft?" The jury didn't take long. Guilty. On all counts. He was sentenced to 4 years with probation eligibility after 2. Fines. Restitution. And a court order to never contact me again. When the sentence was read, my father put his head down. My mother wept again. And my sister stormed out. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. But I felt lighter. Like every brick they had piled on my back had finally fallen away. The front door still creaked the same. Same chipped paint. Same draft from the kitchen window. Same scent of lavender detergent and betrayal. But this time, I walked in with keys the court gave me, not stolen ones, not spare ones hidden under the mat. My parents were gone. They'd moved into a rental on the other side of town after the court ruled the house was to be returned to me, the rightful owner on the original deed, the person who had paid part of the mortgage during college, the name that was erased and then resurrected. My lawyer said I could sell it. Or rent it. Or torch it for insurance. Instead, I just stood in the middle of my old room, the one Tyler had once called his kingdom. The mattress was gone. The posters he put up had been ripped off. There were holes in the drywall. It was just empty. My sister hadn't said a word to me since the verdict. She deactivated her social media. Rumor was she'd moved in with a friend, away from town, away from whispers. I didn't follow up. I didn't care. One morning, weeks later, I found a letter taped to the front door. No stamp. No address. Just one name, Marcus. Inside, it said, "I didn't expect you to fight back. I thought you'd fold like always. You didn't. I guess you're stronger than all of us now. Whatever." There was no signature. But I knew that handwriting. My sister's are still curled like a music note. I folded the letter and burned it in the kitchen sink. Then I sat at the table, alone, and ate dinner in the silence my family once filled with fake laughs and backhanded comments. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the outsider. I felt like the survivor. It was poetic. The same family who once kicked me out without warning, who changed the locks, rerouted my mail, and dared to erase me from my own life, was now receiving an eviction notice. From me. Through a lawyer. Filed legally. Stamped in triplicate. The house had technically been in dispute during the criminal proceedings. But once Tyler was convicted, the forged documents he filed became inadmissible and void. The deed was restored under my name, retroactively. Everything they tried to take had snapped back. Like a rubber band. And it hit them hard. My parents didn't want to believe it. But this is our family home, my mom cried over the phone. You weren't even living here. We needed space after your grandmother passed. I let her speak. I let her spin. Then I calmly replied. That space belonged to me, and you gave it away to a con man. I'm not evicting you, I'm ending your illegal occupation. Click. 30 days. That's what the court order said. I gave them 60. Because I'm not like them. Because revenge isn't rage, it's clarity. The day the movers arrived, I sat in my car across the street. Watching. My dad didn't even lift a box. My mom looked like she aged 10 years in 10 weeks. My sister didn't show up. Tyler was still in jail. They shuffled away with chipped lamps, old photo frames, and a TV I once paid for in college. I never got it back. I didn't ask. A week later, I walked through the empty house again. Clean this time. Quiet. Mine. But I didn't keep it. I sold it. Used the money to start over. Bought a condo in the city, closer to Grandma's old favorite cafe. I had her photos on the walls. Her recipes in the kitchen drawer. And her words still echoing in my head. Family doesn't stab you with knives. They hand you shields. That was the last lesson I needed. And I made sure the world knew it. Because the day the house was listed, I wrote the description myself. Recently vacated after a long overdue return to its rightful owner. Fully purged of bad energy. Comes with clean walls, new locks, and no ghosts, unless you count the lies left behind.